Good evening, folks, or afternoon if you're out on the West Coast. I'm Earl, and I'm just going to give you some updates about the Tenacious Golf World, which is the fictional world that encapsulates what what the Tenacious Golf Tour and the Slacker Tour are all about. They sound like fancy names, and it's just fictional names in a way. But what it is it's really a world that is, two tours and a bunch of golfers functioning in kind of the same world, so if you will. And right now at the moment I'm just trying to get up a couple of different spreadsheets while I'm talking this out. So we finished up the Slacker Tour, which was the Under Tour, and we still have the main tour to finish off. 2 events left in that, one at Congressional, one at what do they call that? East Lake. It's in Atlanta. But I figure what we will start with is how the current, and I forgot to do some stuff, but let's turn this around. So we have first the Slacker Tour final points as they stand at the end. And so I'm not sure how good the resolution will be, but Alec Nolan, who won the Slacker the final tournament in the Slacker Tour, he's the winner of the top 25 points people from the Slacker Tour regular season. So the Slacker Tour regular season, a number of those in the top 25 were qualified for the Tenacious Tour playoff. So because of that, we took the top 25 in the money list from the Slacker Tour that were not in the top 125 of the Tenacious Tour, and they got seeded here. And so this seeding gives you Alec Nolan as the first, is top, and then Remington Ramirez, Roland Webster. All 25 of these guys they get tour cards on the Tenacious Tour for 2019. And their participation, now the way you can tell that is from these points here. This is the points from the final 3 tournaments gathered up. And then the second sorting comes with this column, which is the overall points all together. So that's why Louis Choi, who has 75 points, gets the tiebreaker over Isaiah Rogers. So what's going to happen is that when you have the Tenacious Tour in 2019, you're going to have a bunch of players. These guys are seeded in a way that will, if you have open room, you would, obviously these guys would be first, but if you get down to, let's say, down here and you've got too many golfers, then these guys would have to take the week off or whatever. But there's also rest. So then you have these other guys, which we had a number of players that were from the Tenacious Tour that missed out from 126 and on up, who got to play in these final 3 tournaments. And that's with the rest of the Slacker Tour guys who did not make it in. So that's what this is. This is the best of the rest. And so Waki Inoue, who won one of the tournaments, he takes first in that, and so he'll be the top ranked guy out of that group. And again, these guys they re-earn their tour cards, albeit it's at somewhat demerited, let's say. They would again be, so like Carter Jacobs, he's going to be sort of like low man on the totem pole in this list. So what I'm going to show you a little bit more about that later. I guess we could, if you want to look at the overall points from the Slacker Tour itself, Remington Ramirez ends up being, although this says through tourney 9, this is through all 12 tourneys. Remington Ramirez is the overall winner with Bob Demelmeyer, who did make the Tenacious Tour based on his Tenacious Tour points, coming in second. 2 wins for Ramirez, 1 for Ramirez won one of the tournaments in the final. Then you have Roland, who didn't win any, but he got enough 5 top 10s to make. But again, I believe he might have made, I don't know, we'll have to look. But so this is as far as I really want to go with this. What I would like to do is kind of come to a different, and where are you? Here we go. So this is the player universe for 2019. And again, I don't know how. Hey Jerry, I'm good. Not sure how the resolution is on all of this, but I'm doing my best. So this is how the priority rank is going to go for the 2019 world that I'm going to be using. Okay? Let's take a look at the first one, which is the original. This is what I started with, and I want to hold on to this because when I do 2020, I'm going to want to use the same one. But so what you have is Tenacious Pro Showcase is the first ranked golfer, the guy who won that. The guy who wins the American Open is second, Sawgrass Championship third, Masters fourth, Championship of the UK fifth. That's the way that the PGA Tour does it in real life. Then you get the Tenacious Championship, which is the tournament that will close the playoff. We don't have a winner for that yet. Then we have the I decided that there was one tournament we don't have duplicated in, that it's not similar. So instead what I took, because the Coastal Heritage is an invitational, I decided to use the winner of that would be 7. Winner of the Colonial Invitational is 8th. Tiretown Invitational 9th in the priority. And then the winner from the points will be 10th if it's somebody different than any of these guys. Again, we don't get duplicates. If you qualify because you rank higher, then we just will erase that. And that's what I want to show you in this other tab right here. So you have Todd Ahrens, who won the Tenacious Pro Showcase. That's the equivalent of the PGA Championship. The American Open, US Open equivalent. Carson Riddell, he'll be ranked 2. So his place is set. They will always be welcome in any tournament in this tour season. They also get some exemptions for later down the road as well. Sawgrass Championship is Yun Lee Song. He also won the Masters. So because of that, you can see here, I put a little mark right there, Winter Masters. Yun Lee Song would have also hit 4th. We would have the Masters winner there, but since it was Lee Song, we just delete that. And then, so the UK champion, which is Emmerich, wins his native title. Then we still don't have the Tenacious Championship here yet. That's to be determined. Gareth Leonard, and we also don't have the points, but this is the Coastal Heritage. That was Leonard, Simanowicz, Colonial, Heath Summers, Tiretown. And then what we have after that is other winners on tour. So you see here we've got Trenchard, Kawahara, Magellanes, Janis, Copeland, etc., down the list. We have some other ones here. We could only have 2 more in theory. Actually, just 1 more. If somebody wins Potomac that's not in that list above, they would get their space here in other wins. But whoever wins the Tenacious Championship will be up here. So if that happens, I'll cut the rest of these out. Then you get the top 125, again, to be determined. We've already determined who is in that. And I guess I forgot, I could probably put 100... I could probably put 70 actually, or 71 through 125. And I don't know why I have 120. Well, just the way it's working out. But so this is just the ranking within this golfer universe. You can see over here that where it says TGT, it's on all of these spaces up above. This is the tour that these guys qualify for automatically. And then so what we have here is the top 50 from the Slacker Tour final. And that well, the Slacker Tour final, but this is the this is actually these are the guys who finished the regular season in those top 25. So that's who's ordered here like this. You can see the names. I'm not going to read them all off, but there are a lot of them are these custom cards. There are a couple that were from the real deck. And then we go all the way up to, as you can see, the top 50. So all the way to 176, because the way I have this written out. We are going to have a qualifying event for the Slacker Tour, and we will, I don't know as I've determined how many guys are going to come in, because it's going to depend on, I have to do some calculations and figure that out. Then what we have here is the Slacker Tour, any guys who are not qualified for the Tenacious Tour in playoff, and thus the Tenacious Tour, or the anybody who and who weren't in these top 50 here were out of the top 75 were put into this jobber here. So there's 5 more guys there, and then we get the next 25 out of the final rankings, and that's where we get some of the Tenacious Tour, like 126 and above. Actually, it's probably 200 and above in theory. So we get the next 25 here. Then we get some former Tenacious Tour guys who didn't qualify for either. You can see Ziggy Juno. So these guys are all going to be in the Slacker Tour. So at this point, we've got, this is going to be 1. And that's going to come out of guys who, so we're going to have some qualifiers doing this, and this will be next year probably. But so there's 177. So that's 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Currently we have about 90 some, and that doesn't include, again, the top 25 from the qualification tournament that's going to happen. So right around 100 will be from that, and then I may actually expand the 25 out a bit. We'll see. So that's basically how this. And so I have a bunch of, including some of the cards that had our patrons and such. I had some cards that I developed with those names and some extra cards. They'll probably be included in that tournament. So that may get some people involved in the next tour. So that's how this is sort of ranking out. And again, I'm planning to do, I'm going to get this turned around now. Oh, you know what? Let's also just real quick. So we have, whoa, this is a little loose here. It's going to fall apart. Let me see. You got another comment. Thank you, Bill. Structure and planning is incredible. Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. This is something that is on my the things that drive me is I like sort of the nuts and bolts approach, and sort of building from the floor up. My spreadsheets and things. I know some people make them for mass distribution, and I'll tell you what, that part of the problem with me doing, I do on occasion, actually I do it somewhat, offer some of these things, especially Excel files, because they're easier to share to people. But I also, sometimes I basically know how to tweak things. A lot of times my spreadsheets will only work after I do a little bit of my own adjustments. So I just wanted to show you here. This is the what's left of the tour. 2 more tournaments, and this is wrong, I think. I think it's actually 829 to 9-1, but I have to check. Let me see. Today is the 23rd. So that would be the 2nd. So I was right. I think I wrote it down wrong in this book. I'm going to change it. I think I put September 1st, but I think these were correct. It's August 30 through September 2. So those dates are correct. Potomac Playoff at Federal. That'll be an $8 million purse, and then you get the $9 million purse, which is less. I keep that below the majors, just a million below it. That will be at East Lake. Actually, it's Peachtree, not East Lake. That's what they call it. Let's go to current Tenacious Cup point leaders. Carson Rodell, which I believe he most recently won. Let me double check here. I'm pretty sure he won the most recent playoff event at Boston. He did. Carson Rodell. Remember that round he had? So he is first. Takes over to lead. Trent McAdams, Dustin Emmerich, Yun Lee Song, Heath Summers, Gareth Leonard, Gary Zakowski, Gil Granberry, Todd Ahrens, Bob Demmelmeyer. Those are your top 10 right now. Demmelmeyer coming through with some important points. Been getting into the top 10, I think, just because of his ranking in the B+ category, and he's a 2. That helped him get some extra points, so he is lurking around there. And he's got a pretty decent card. I'm just going to go down through. It's going to be the top 70 for the penultimate tournament. So I'm just going to work my way down through here. You can see some of the names. So the cutoff, there's Zephaniah Scott in 52nd. He needs to get up to 30th if he wants to make the final tournament. So Harley Villanueva just misses out, as Maurizio Mondragon does as well. So Ian Robards just gets in. And so that's where things stand. Who are our scoring leaders? I bet that last round got Rodell up there. Is that right? It's Heath Summers, actually. I would have thought that that Rodell round would have gotten him into better shape, but I guess he must have had a couple bad tournaments. So anyway, my thing's starting to kind of get a little wacky, so I'm going to turn this back around if my screen... Whoa. Howdy. So that's where things are currently locating themselves. Again, just to reiterate, my plan is I'm going to try and institute a variable tournament rating system in a way. I mean, everybody will have a static tournament rating, but I'd kind of like to build some flexibility in it so that we get some just want to get some variability in these tournaments. I'm not a big fan of seeing the same guys every time. I'd like to make it a little more random. I don't want to make it a lot more random because I don't think that's necessarily right either, but a little bit would be interesting, and see how much a slight tweak would go. Went out to the store and got a couple more of these, so this will help me in getting started with whatever project is on the horizon. Hint, hint. I think you probably know what that is. The soccer. It's coming up here eventually once I get this knocked out. But I also have this flavor for the second season still, so I'll probably play a game or two of that once the golf is through. But I'm going to get started and knock out It's going to be just the third round, so I don't, because with 70 golfers, they're going to play all 4 rounds. There's not going to be a cut. We're just going to, in a sense, do the third round. Won't be any outstanding golfers, I guess. I don't think there's any way to really do that. Don't really want to. So, yeah, I mean, I may come back on here for a second video tonight. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. A good day. This shirt is old, but my team got one of the more improbable wins I've seen from them. You know, I've seen, you know, I've rooted for Bills teams like that Minnesota team that just seemed to kind of lay an egg when they thought that the opposition wasn't going to be as good. But I'll tell you what, I'm quite thrilled with our quarterback at this point. That can change at any moment, but he makes some nice throws, and you know, he had hopefully the first game in a nice long career, but we'll see. Experience changes guys, and especially once they get knocked their first time, and it can take a toll on them. But so a short video, just trying to kind of give you a wrap up of Slacker Tour and prepare for the Tenacious finale, the final 2 tournaments, and then look ahead to, more fun with the various games we've got here. So yep, thanks Jerry, thanks to the 3 or 4 of you who were around in the middle of the video. I'm going to sign off, take it easy, and until next time, just keep on rolling. Have a good one.